And we're good. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to join our webinar today. We're going to be talking today about the HR Service Delivery Challenge and how Oracle Service Cloud for HR can really enable your HR organization to transform, to display a lot of transparency with the different constituents, and modernize on a lot of really cool features. The voice you're hearing right now is, my name is Keegan Olson, and I work with a company called Apex IT. We're a platinum partner with Oracle. I'm going to introduce us here a little bit. I've been working in this space for a long, long time. And along with me today, I've got Brian Webb, who's with Oracle. He and I have been cohorts in crime for a lot of years, working various HR service delivery opportunities with Oracle products ranging from PeopleSoft all the way now through this Oracle Cloud Service Cloud product. And excited to tell you about that today. From an agenda standpoint, I'll just do a real quick intro, a little bit of background about who we are at Apex IT. And we'll talk about some challenges that we often see in the market. We've been doing this for a long time, almost 20 years, implementing these a lot of technologies over the years. So we're going to talk about what we see in the market today and how, and talk about a real customer transformation story, kind of like what they did, what challenges they started out with, and how we implemented some of these Oracle technologies that you're going to see today, and how they benefited from it. They realized a lot of really cool capabilities. And then Brian's going to walk through some of the capabilities that Oracle has to offer from this technology that we're talking about today, Oracle Service Cloud for HR. And then, like I said, at the end, we'll have some Q&A. Just a quick intro to who we are. We work with a company called Apex IT. We've been around for about a little over 20 years. We've been Oracle's Partner of the Year 4 out of the last 6 years, and we're a finalist this year as well. Hopefully, we'll get notified soon. We've been their partner for HR Help Desk and a lot of their other service delivery platforms for a lot of years. We've implemented literally hundreds of different organizations. We implement call centers across the stack, whether it's HR Help Desk or Employee Relations Help Desk or customer support from a customer's care, IT Help Desk, Finance Help Desk. We really span that ecosystem of call center implementations. We've done a lot of these HR Help Desks in particular, about 75 in the last about last 10 years or so. And we have a very high customer rating with our customers. We really work to strive to implement these technologies in a very efficient manner and to really help transform and modernize customers. We're a consultancy, so we do the wide variety of implementation services from success workshops up front to planning, package selections, migration projects from legacy on-premise systems onto cloud platforms, and we offer the typical implementation services from program management, all the functional technical support to implement these products, and we implement obviously the product that we're talking about today. And then once we go live, we offer the post-go live support services if that's something that you would need. So let's talk about the topic of on the market today. So we're going to be talking about HR services. So when we look at the market, we talk through with customers about what their challenges are. And in today's world, we really know employees are expecting a lot from their HR organization and any service that they interact with. And HR, just like in today's consumer world, Amazon world, they want customers or employees, they want who they're interacting with to know who they are. So HR needs to know who that person is. They need to be able to access HR through modern channels, and they need those quick answers. They don't want to have to wait for their answers. They need to have speed to resolution, and they don't want the HR team to forget about them. They need, HR needs to be responsive, and they need to be able to track all these things in an expedient manner. And they, of course, expect security. They don't want their information to be lost or to be disseminated in an unsecure manner. And of course, everything today is mobile. Everybody has a smartphone. They need to have all of their capabilities accessible on a smartphone and have tools that they can use on their smartphone or any device, tablet, whatever, And it needs to be intuitive. It needs to be something that is easy to use, easy for them to find information. Otherwise, they're going to have a poor experience. And then, of course, they need to have 24/7, because especially in today's world, we're all working at crazy hours, and we want to have, HR needs to have tools, just like a customer support center needs to have tools. They need to have tools to support their employees and managers and the questions that they have at any time during the day. What we find in the market is HR is often challenged to support that. They have to support all of that with limited staff and resources. They often have limited budgets to work with. They have, I can't tell you enough how many customers, even Fortune 50 customers, have outdated or inefficient systems that they work with, or some even don't even have a system. They're supporting their employees through literally phone and email channels, and they don't have any way to measure what they have. There's limited automation. Oftentimes their systems are not connected together or integrated. And then they also have heavy paperwork. You know, as we all know, working with HR, we often have to fill out forms and things like that that take up time. And it's really a burden on HR to deal with all of those manual processes. So when we take a step back and when we've seen best in breed implementations, and we've worked with customers Fortune 1000 and above, and see how they deliver effectively, and we help them really transform. And we're going to talk about a story here in just a minute, but at the core of it, in order to become a modern HR service center, you need to provide your service through modern channels. And modern channels being chat, potentially digital assistant, providing knowledge content, self-service channels. The traditional phone channel is still prevalent in some industries, but most organizations need to work in a more effective model. So having an application or a cornerstone that allows you to deliver that service in a cost-effective manner, and having your organization set up in a cost-effective scenario where you have less experienced people enabled to answer more questions, is a very powerful thing, and that helps drive ROI, which I'll talk about a little bit later. In order to have those modern channels and be able to provide things through effective service delivery, you need to have a centralized tool. And that's what we're talking about today from an Oracle Service Cloud standpoint. So the HR organizations that we feel are really kind of cutting edge are very data-driven, and they leverage those centralized tools. They also have a philosophy on empowering their HR organization, empowering those less experienced people to answer more of those questions without having to pull in those senior level people. And that's a challenge, and often requires a degree of technology and business process and other things to go with that. In addition, they also have the philosophy to empower their employees. So they want to be able to enable their employees, managers, contractors, full-time employees, terminated employees, to go to a place where they can answer their own questions and do those self-service transactions, because that ultimately reduces the burden on your HR organization. So when we look at customers, why do typically customers invest in these HR help desk platforms, HR service delivery platforms? Well, oftentimes it comes down to they need to improve their efficiency or visibility. There's a lot of companies that just don't have any insight into their HR operations, or they track it on a spreadsheet, or they just kind of put their thumb in the air and try and figure out what they have. And that's not what the C-level staff, your CHRO, your VP of HR operations is going to be happy with. So oftentimes we also invest in HR help desk when they go through this centralization or a shared services transformation. So having a tool that allows their HR team to interact not only with employees, but interact within each other. So if they have an issue that requires multiple groups or multiple people to work, that's very difficult to do with just an email-based system, and to keep track of that and make sure things don't fall through the cracks. And also having a mindset of using multi-channel, so having multiple channels where employees and managers and even other HR staff can access with phone, email, self-service, chatbot, knowledge base, all of those different channels to provide access to your HR organization. There's other times customers are just looking to standardize. They have disparate processes across the globe, and they need to have a common platform that can guide them through certain processes so that their teams can ask the right questions in the right order. And that's what HR service delivery is really all about. And then an end goal is to allow for improved employee experience. So giving employees and managers the ability to ask the question through the means that they want and get the answer that they want with, in the channel that they're working in an expedient manner is very important. Improving reporting and analytics is another big reason why you get that, because all of that channel management and tracking of this, the output is all based on that reporting and analytics. Some customers invest in HR help desk because they're looking at cost reductions. They need to be more efficient with what they have. So they want to, enable those less experienced staff to answer more, which thereby gives them cost reductions overall. And then some just need to have, from a compliance standpoint, they need to track these types of certain types of inquiries because of legal or compliance-related issues. Those are the general 8 buckets that we see from most customers and why they invest in a HR help desk platform. So let's talk about an actual customer that we worked with. I'm not going to name names here, but just kind of give talk about their story. So they started out with literally a walk-up based kiosk, and this is a company that we all know and have heard of. They're very prevalent. They literally had walk-up kiosk-based service. They had a couple phone channels that employees could call, but it was a really difficult way for employees to interact with their HR team. They had no deflection capabilities. They had no case management central platform that they would track these inbound inquiries. So if their VP of HR said, hey, how many benefit-related questions did we get, their HR team wouldn't have any idea how to answer that. We think maybe 20 or 50 today, not sure. They didn't have any self-service portal. They didn't have a searchable knowledge base. Their communications were inconsistent. It was kind of based on whoever was communicating, so they didn't have templated responses. And ultimately, they had very basic, very minimal reporting. It was really call volume and, kind of sometimes jotting down on a spreadsheet for a certain period of time. So that's not the way that you want to operate from an HR help desk standpoint. So how do we transform them? First, we spent time with them and reorganized their HR team into more of a tiered model. They had kind of a who you know channel. They didn't necessarily have organization, so we needed to correct that. We needed to get all of the inquiries that were going to be coming in to a single group in a tiered model. And then from there, they can escalate. And I'll show you what that model looks like here in a minute. We also introduced more of a deflection mindset. So leverage that technology that you have to deflect some of those inquiries, because it benefits HR, it benefits the employee, it helps you kind of get a return on your investment. And we implemented those tools to support that deflection mindset. We built, within the tool, within Service Cloud, we built these structured processes to capture the information from the point of when the employee reached out to the point when HR worked it, to ask the right questions at the right time in the right order. And that way it was a very structured process. So for example, if they're taking a call pertaining to payroll, it would ask the right questions in the right order so that when it was escalated to that payroll team, they had the information that they needed. So it was a very efficient model. We added the channels and all of those initial intake from those channels, from self-service, from email to case, from the digital assistant that we implemented for them. Those initial inquiries were all being worked by less experienced staff, and we enabled them with things like a knowledge base so they could answer more questions with less training. And we also enabled capabilities to help their HR resolve those issues quickly, consistent, and efficiently. And we're going to show you some of these pieces when Brian gets to the demo. So this is kind of an intro to the actual application that you're going to see here, but this aligns with this story. So, when we look at an HR organization, they have what their quote-unquote customers are: employees, managers, contractors, candidates, vendors, and a slew of other, a handful of other things. And the challenge that HR often has, and the challenge that this customer had, was how do we take all of that volume that we have coming in from all of those different groups and support the channels that they want, and also just keep everything organized. So we implemented Oracle Service Cloud for HR. The first thing that they implemented was this mentality of self-service deflection. So we created this employee portal that had knowledge search. It had scripted Q&A. And it also had a front end for what's called Oracle Digital Assistant. This is their quote-unquote chatbot capability. So they would initially have their employees go there to answer their questions first, and then they could interact with their HR and have that HR connection through live agent chat. Eventually, they're going to go video chat, but they can add and manage their requests, their questions through the portal. The email was integrated, and they also had this. They can also use this co-browse capability to look at what if there's a question about an application or some kind of form, they would use co-browse. And at the core of this whole thing was the HR case management area, where we created these defined workflows. They had contextual knowledge base for answering questions, standard responses, live agent chat, and they even had a follow-up workforce surveys after and communications that they would distribute to their employees, all from within the Service Cloud platform. It was, of course, connected with their HR platform. This customer is PeopleSoft, but it can connect to Workday or HCM Cloud, EBS, or whatever SAP SuccessFactors. It doesn't really matter. The system can connect to that. And at the end of it, they are just taking advantage of all of the data that Oracle Service Cloud has to offer. There's over 900 delivered reports. I think there's actually even more than that at this point. Just tons of information that you can use to do forecasting, performance management, and lots of other things. From an organizational standpoint, we helped move them to a tiered level, and we really encourage more tier 0 and tier 1 because those are the least expensive methods of service delivery. If you look at this, and we have this broken down. Basically, you want about 85, maybe even 90% of your inquiries being resolved at that tier 0 and tier 1 level, and then those that need escalation should only be escalated to those groups, and groups like benefits, employee relations, payroll. So it created this tiered model and methodology, and it really is an efficient way to deliver service. And the benefits that they see from this, there's a lot of them. I'm not going to go through all of these, but the centralized, being able to have a place where you have consistent communication, you have those consistent answers so they can be compliant. It's all secured, so they have different groups like their tier 1 group that would do that intake, that could escalate it to employee relations, and all of those employee relations cases would be segmented so that others couldn't see that. So there's all of that, and then all of that is reportable at the right level that you need it to be. There's also a bunch of qualitative and quantitative benefits that they saw. So as you're thinking about putting these into place, an HR help desk, like, well, how do we justify this internally to our leadership? There's a ton, almost every customer that we implement this can put together a positive ROI using a combination. If it's a ROI qualitative, meaning you get better employee experience, or you get better consistent answers, or quantitative, meaning like I can actually show hard dollar ROI values here, and sometimes it can be quality of answer, decreasing risk of not having information in a secure system, root cause analysis, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all these different use cases, and then from how do we quantify an ROI? We often look at things like improving handle time or overall deflection rate, where through self-service we can measure that we avoided 20 calls today, and each of those calls cost us X number of dollars. So it's a very easy metric to put together. And typically, when we look at this kind of tool, over time, this software can literally pay for itself based on organizational efficiency, deflection, things like that, because you're providing service not from your senior level HR staff, but you're using efficient self-service channels that are more cost-effective for an organization. And then you have, broader than just this HR help desk discussion, you can also use this Oracle Service Cloud platform in other areas too. It doesn't have to be just HR help desk. We've got customers that use it for HR help desk, but they also use it for things like an ERP or finance help desk, where they're taking calls from vendors and suppliers about accounts receivable, accounts payable, things like that. Or you can use it for a talent acquisition help desk. So taking calls specifically from candidates or recruiters or sourcers within the organization, and like something like an HRIS. In today's COVID world, here's another example, another use case for this platform. It's not just HR, it can be used for lots of other things. We helped a very large city in the United States help with COVID relief. They allocated almost $37 million to residents, and we use this platform, the same technology, Oracle Service Cloud, to distribute, to help with schedule appointments and to distribute these funds that they had to help people, residents in need. We helped over 104,000 residents in this major city with this program through private donation. But the Oracle products were the means for those residents to schedule appointments, to verify, and for that city to track all of those outcomes. So we can talk more about that if you need some more insight. So lots of really cool stuff. I gave you a lot of really good information. And at this point, we want to show you the tool and show you all of the cool features of the platform. So I'm going to hand over the presentation now to Brian, so he can show you a lot of these pieces that I've been talking about here. So I'll stop share, and then Brian, you should be able to pick this up.
Great. And can you see that now?
And I'm seeing the screen now. Yep, I can see your screen.
All right. Hey, thank you, Brian. My name's Brian Webb. I'm a solution consultant for Oracle. I've been working in this space for quite a long time, helping our customers implement HR service solutions. And this is a quick example of, this is our solution footprint at a high level, somewhat simplistic, but in a sense, everything you need to support the employee in some kind of assistance, right? Or if we use it in other use cases like ERP or accounts payable help desk, or customer support or things like that. Where here we have a rich platform that has all kinds of pre-built objects and tools and methods of integration and widgets and overlays, so that you could use our delivered self-service functionality or extend it to any environment that you've got. So in a sense, we can bring our engagement elements right onto your HR transaction system, as well as onto your intranet, as well as use our product standalone or a hybrid of the above in order to provide that service. And fundamentally, we're able to provide an omni-channel experience, meaning that employees can come in on whatever method you want to open it up. That could be send emails or web pages or SMS messages, or come and chat with us, or use video chat, or come in off a mobile device, or even in an app on a mobile device, and begin that interaction and follow that through to their successful completion of their simple to complex request or work order or something like that. And at our disposal then, we're able to serve up knowledge and content along the way. So ideally they would come and just search the knowledge base right off the bat, but they could, in a sense, go immediately to reporting an issue, and we can have the knowledge be part of that process using our advanced AI and NLP based logic to say, hey, there's some knowledge articles that you might want to look at first before you submit this. And all of that also has the capability to use what we call our intelligent advisors. So we can help engage them along the way, and from simple to complex decisioning through something called like a dynamic interview. So we could ask one or two questions, we can pull some data behind the scenes from their profile, and then based on a combination of things, determine what is the next step. Maybe it's to ask a few more questions or collect some more data, or maybe it's to transport them somewhere onto the HR transaction system, or maybe it's to generate a form right there on the fly so that they could have the content they're looking for, or maybe it's to actually update some records in the back end, or create a service ticket that the HR team will follow up on. Either way, we have the capability to engage the employees directly on the channel of choice, provide them with assistance, hopefully self-service assistance. And then if they need more than that, connect with the HR service center staff that'll use our engagement center to really manage through these, what we call it, contextual workspaces, to pull forward, hey, here's our knowledge, here's our guided resolution, and then use the analytics to see everything that's been going on. And for the demo today, I'm just going to show a few things. We're going to start on more of the employee digital self-service experience, where I thought we'd go and visit maybe on the mobile phone and then on a website, interact with the application a little bit, search for some knowledge, request some more assistance, maybe go into some chat interactions, and then that's where we'll see the agent from there. And just to highlight some of this, this are some real results just on the self-service portion that our customers have been experiencing. So these numbers come right from our customers saying that by implementing our solution, they've improved their self-service rates by 45%. They're really able to deflect a lot of the interactions that HR personnel used to be doing by having an improved self-service environment, an engaging experience that can be personalized and serve up contextual, relevant, personalized content by looking at attributes on their employee profile and determining this is the right answer for you because you are, you're paid this way, or you're in this geographical region, or you're employee based in this country or in this state or province, or things like that. Okay, and with that, I'm gonna go off and just go and see a little bit of a demo here. So what I'm gonna try to do first here is just get my iPhone up onto the screen here. And what I've done here is, as you can see, I just went to a little web browser here, and I'm right onto the Service Cloud site, right? So part of what I want to show you is that we've got a very responsive design here, as well as you can allow the employees to come directly just to a web page and access the application, or we could embed ourselves inside your own mobile application that you provide employees. We have predefined widgets for all our common functionality so that you could do that. Or we could be a hybrid of that. And really want to show us some examples of, hey, for example, let's just search, find some content here that I need some help on. And in this case, I'm searching for some 401k information. And when I get the results back, I'll see it here. So I thought I'd click search and be able to drill down into them. And so we're using our natural language processing engine to find the most relevant results and displaying that to the employee, right? And there's a little bit of a lag time here. There we go. And so here you can see I can scroll down. We've got some recommendations. I had searched with a single search box, but the search results came back, but it also gave me another search option where I could have some more advanced search options. But here I'm just going to drill into one of the college articles. In this case, it's the 401k savings and investment information. And just to show you, we could scroll down a bit here, and I'm going to highlight this element right there. You probably saw that. I clicked on it. And it's an anchor link that just took me further down the page here. So like having a table of contents or something like that. And immediately I can get to, and you can see the different types of formatting. We've got here tables and shading and boxes, and we provide the ability where they can provide some feedback right here. If I was to click no, I'd be prompted with a little dialogue. Hey, tell us more about how we can improve it. I could also from here share it or print it, email this, or we have a notify me as a subscription option where they can be notified whenever there's an update. So like the company holidays is a great one to be on the subscription. So whenever it's changed, you'll get that. So the yearly update comes right to you, right? I'm going to go back for a little bit here and show you something else. So if we were to search on a different term, I'm going to just put overtime. Now this particular employee, he is an hourly based employee in the US. And when he searches for overtime, this is what he's seeing as his search results. As you can see, there's 6 articles here. There's a payment of overtime, a requesting overtime, a holiday pay, and et cetera, right? Now I'm gonna move this over to the right-hand side of the screen here. I'm gonna bring up my browser here, and I've logged in as a different user. The first user is David. The second user here on the right, this is Antonio. He's a US-based manager. He's on the exact same portal application. It's just that he's in a browser now instead of on his phone. I'm gonna search for the exact same thing as David did. So this is the manager searching on the exact same words. And notice that the first 2 articles that David, the hourly based employee, he's not seeing those. In a sense, they're not relevant. We're using elements of the employee profile to filter in or hide specific knowledge articles. But if I'm going to go have David, the hourly employee, open up the holiday pay article, and I'm going to do the same thing for Antonio Santos, the manager, and we'll see the results here. You can see that, oh, where'd David go? Oh, I lost my iPhone connection being displayed, right? Let me shift over real quick so you can see it over here. So this is the same thing. I've got them just in case that happened. Here's David searching for overtime, finds the holiday pay article. So this is my hourly based US employee. Here's the knowledge article he's seeing. And then on the right-hand side, this is the manager. And notice there's a difference. So what we're able to also do is use elements of the employee profile to have dynamic sections within a given knowledge article. So notice here, the manager is finding information about himself as if, hey, I'm a salary based, I don't get overtime because I'm not hourly based. But when it comes to holiday pay, in a sense, here's some information for you, right? But this section here, managers dash, data for hourly employees, this is all dynamically here only if your profile says that you're either a manager or acting as a manager, and then we'll show this section here. Versus, and that's kind of replicating what David's going to be seeing. So if David ask Antonio his manager information, the manager looking up, he's able to see it right here and provide some relative feedback and context of what's there, right? So I am going to, let's stop the screen sharing here of that. Okay, now I'm gonna just open this up a little bit more. So just to show you a few more things of what we could do here. So like for example, let's search on direct deposit and show you just another example of what a knowledge article could be if we find it. And here we'll see another example of things like collapsible sections, some imagery there with instructions on how to do it, a decision step within here, for example. And then also, we can have attachments, same thing with feedback and things like that. What we're also showing here in this view is that on the right-hand side here, there's a answers others found helpful. So we can relate one knowledge article to other knowledge articles, and the knowledge base administrators can do this manually, or the application's smart enough that usage over time will automatically start recommending relationships between knowledge articles so that they could find that, right? Now, this is just one way to see that. We saw it on the mobile phone, and then we also saw it here on the desktop. But I'm going to go over to this other interface. So we have a concept called interfaces. This is on the exact same Service Cloud instance, and I'm able to have just a different look and feel, but yet it can be the same or different knowledge search. So I'm going to do the same type of search. Let's search for that direct deposit here as well. And we'll find the knowledge article, and I'll open it. And just to show you how, by design, I wanted the look and feel to be a little different. So we're maintaining the frame around it, but yet when I scroll down, I'm not seeing all the stuff that I was seeing on the right-hand side for the relationships. I can just put it somewhere else, and you get the idea. We're just trying to show some ways we can represent knowledge no matter where I go to find it. Now I'm going to come back here to my template site here, and let's work on a few more things. So I'm gonna, okay, first up, before I do this, you can see that I'm looking at a knowledge article here, and on the right-hand side, we've told to place a search box here. There's some other support options, or I can get to the news or some other content that's here. Or if I go back to the home page here, and if I just peruse for a knowledge article, I'm just gonna, let's go and find a knowledge, kind of the same thing happens here, right? Or if I, let's say peruse and get to a folder or subfolders of knowledge articles, and I can drill down further. And then when I finally find that specific knowledge article, so I'm short, kind of the same thing applies here as far as what you're seeing on the right-hand side. I'm going to change it up and do something a little bit different here. I'm going to search for, PTO, so any word or phrases. And what I'm going to be showing here is the fact that we can do something a little bit different by trying and understanding the intent of what's being looked at. So I've got a number of different knowledge articles here. And as I drill down on them, notice not only the knowledge article I'm looking for, but we have a new section here on the page called My PTO Hours. And this is an example of showing that we've attempting to interpret and use that intent recognition that you probably may also want to know about this. And then in this case, bring up this little widget that shows, you know, your vacation balance that's out there, right? And if we were to drill back for a second here, let me just go to the back button here, and we could look at maybe a different knowledge article. This also has the same intent, as if your intent might be related to this one or other items. Let's bring them forward so you can see them, right? And if I drill down on that specific item, in this case, it takes me directly to the transaction system. In this case, this is a PeopleSoft HR, you know, looking at your paycheck, but this can be any back-end HR system. It'll pass the parameters right into it and then take you onto the transaction page, right? And in this case, I did not click anything for a certain amount of time, and a rule has fired that says, hey, do you need some help? And if so, I could present some offers, like, do you want to chat with somebody? Or I could present maybe a knowledge article or two that might be a suggestion on what you might do, right? So we can use something we call our engagement engine to create rules that can be used to be placed on any website or intranet or on your transaction systems, and that when they trip, such as no activity or every time you come here or other types of things, we can do something such as make a proactive offer that's out there. And in this case, I'm just going to close that. But one of the other things I have here is this, we call these our inlays. This is an example. I brought the knowledge-based search right onto the HR system, transitioning from here. Was there a question? Okay, I'm gonna just keep on searching here. So we could do things like, let's direct deposit, something like that, do the search. And notice it, even if I misspell it wrongly here, or do something like a bonus, whatever, find out that information. I can then drill on the knowledge article, and it's displayed inside this little inline window, so I can get more assistance as I go through it. Then I could always click this link down here below, and I'll get transferred out to the full production knowledge article with the full display of it that's out there. Right? So that was just some quick examples of how we can use the knowledge search to personalize, make more relevant the content, make the presence or their employees' ability to come and get assistance in a more personalized fashion much more successful in that manner. Now, the next thing I want to show you is an example of if they come and just say, hey, I just need help. So I'm going to come to the Ask an Agent function. And this is one way we have a web form they can fill out. And I'll do something like, let's say holiday, and so something is like a Labor Day, a holiday, or something really smart like that. Click continue, and normally this would just send that off, and the HR, department would have to respond to that issue. But in this case, our natural language processing engine is partnering up with some AI to bring forward some suggested content. So based on the results of what I typed in for the subject and the question, and I could have specified a category, or if we had other fields here, it's mining the knowledge base and seeing, yep, there's my answer right there. I got it answered and my question was answered, and no need to contact the HR department, right? But if it didn't, they could just like no, and then it would submit it. And then the HR person, when they see the request for assistance, they'll also know the knowledge articles that were looked at. We also provide tracking information. We know where they are, on the websites and what knowledge articles they had or interactions they had done in the past. The HR staff person insight as to where they were, how they got here in the first place, and then use that potentially to reply back as an answer, right? Now, next I want to show you an example of more interactive data acquisition. And so imagine that something's went wrong and you're going to file a grievance. So this particular way of starting the process, I put it as a knowledge article. There's a link here, and from here, it'll start a process of engaging what we call our interactive decisioning engine, and making sure it stays within inside this little frame here. And there we go. And I left the CAPTCHA function on just so that you could, see some of the functionality here, so that you could use this, for example, for engaging non-employees or like applicants, or even employees from the other side of the firewall, like some of our customers do. We're here, I'm just first off displaying, hey, here's some information about who this employee is, right from their HR profile. And from here, it's really just what type of issue do you want to report here? And so first off, so notice I've got a first question here. And the second question is this long, hey, provide a summary of what's happening here. So I'm going to pick something for the first question. Let's say it's discrimination. And notice dynamically, there's a new question automatically brought forward, right? And I can pick a value for it right here. If I go back here and change a value, then the other changes can occur. In this case, the second question is still here, but it's got a different subset level 2 pick list to pull from that I can provide. So, so how about he yelled at me is probably happens. Is this grievance against a person? Yes or no? If I say yes, it's Donna. She's the one that's always doing this to me. Donna yelled and hit me, and whatever the story was here. We're pulling from your location sites, right from HR. We could set up this form to have any types of questions that you want to have and collect the data. Click next. In this case, I'm going to add some attachments here. Now, if you're doing this on a mobile device, you'd have the ability to have the camera or the phone actually take a picture or a movie or pull up something that's there. But here, I just dragged and dropped some imagery or if attachments already onto it. And in this case, I'll collect a signature here and off we go, and I'm all set. So I have now just filed my grievance. And behind the scenes, what we have done also is that based on this interactive guidance that walked them through it, we have then created a service ticket that and marked it as very sensitive and secure, and routed it to a completely different team called the Employee Relations Group. Now, the regular tier 1 or other HR staff will not be able to see the details of that ticket, but the appropriate people, in this case, the Employee Relations Group, they will be able to see that. And we're also providing the employee with some information here, in this case, a structured form-based output of what was entered here. So here's some of the values that I selected here, behavior and bullying. Here's some of the data I typed in, Donna yelled and hit at me. Here's some data I did not type in. This came right from their profile. So one of the things I'm really showing here is that we have the ability to generate form all along the way in the process. It could be as simple as I just need proof of employment. You just click the link and we generate the form automatically by pulling data from your profile. Or it could be a little bit more complex. Hey, I need to collect some information, and then from there I can generate a form. Or in this case, I'm also generating information or a ticket that a specific group is going to be analyzing and working with, right? So we also have the capability where we can have real-time pull and push of data via our REST APIs. So we could go in, if we need to make a decision, we could go and make a query from somewhere, pull that data in, and then actually engage with it. Some of our customers are doing some really advanced stuff with our interactive decisioning, such as AT&T. They're doing some they made, in a sense, like a mini application to replace some of their disability accommodations and saving them, lots of money in that process. Right? So one of the next things I want to show you is maybe let's talk about chat or something like that. So one way to do chat is just simply launch chat here, or maybe we could go back and launch it from my little example here we had earlier of found our little payroll process here. We clicked on our link here, and then we're going to be brought to the screen, and assuming we do nothing for a second, and then we're presented with, and hey, would you like to engage with, you know, the HR service agent via chat or something like that. Now this proactive launch could be something where we will be engaging the chatbot, for example, but I'm going to do that a little bit later. Let's do, this is Antonio. And if I had a single sign set up, I wouldn't have to do this, but I just got this here, and then Antonio, off we go, and pop it in. And notice what's happening here is that we're going to now get some connection information, your position in the queue and stuff delivered right here in the chat inlay for the employee. Now I'm going to switch over to, this is my service center agent. He's logged in and he's got a toast notification or a pop-up to accept the chat. Oops, and I didn't accept it in time. There we go. Another chance to accept it, so it's polling the queue. And I'm brought right into the chat experience. So what we're seeing on the right-hand side is just his login default dashboard when he shows up for work, so to speak. You can have this be any types of graphs or metrics of what's going on. But what we're experiencing now is an actual chat interaction. So on the left-hand side of the pane here is where I can, you know, back and forth, you know, talk to Antonio, and I can handle multiple chats at the same time. It's all based on a profile and on your skill sets. And from here, I've got a variety of different interactions and data that I can use to assist Antonio in whatever, you know, issue he's having here. So if I go back here, we'll just maybe, let's shrink this down so we can kind of see them both at the same time, so to speak, right? So there's, you know, Antonio was on the left, and then our agent is over here on the right. And as you can see, I can, you know, communicate back and forth in this little response window here, but we can also use a lot of the other functionality that we've got set up here. So for example, if he's telling me he's having some kind of payroll-ish type of issue, maybe one of the things I do is use some of my jump starts, such as, you know, like a paycheck or something like that. Now, his question was adjust the performance review, and notice what happens here is I'm going to click on the jump starter, and it will behind the scenes do a number of functions, including I added the preface to this, what they typed in, pay colon whatever, and that's what I'm just doing so that we can see the subject is being updated of the chat automatically, as well as I've updated some other fields on this chat interaction. And I've also brought us to a specific tab that I can, you know, use to get more assistance. So it could be like, hey, I need to do some research, so let me pop right into this. And so I'm taking the agent right into the transaction system so that they could then, you know, make the changes or do the investigation right in the HR system right here. Or it could be a little bit more complex and we're going to need some more assistance. Or what we could do is have some kind of interactive guide, like for example, let's say it was a benefit, you know, enrollment issue or something like that. Or one of the things I could do is run one of our, we call our guided assistants. And this is a process that'll, you know, I can just simply answer a little bit of Q&A, and notice right here, there's a little box that's telling me, the agent, what this is specifically is for. But it says I could now ask or chat back and forth these questions with them if I need to when I get the answer. And it'll guide me to the respective process that's out there, right? Or maybe right back to the HRC, right? And one thing I forgot to mention here is that what I'm seeing here is these are all the past interactions that this employee has had. And notice we've got a lot of chats here, but he's also got some emails that came in, some mobile interactions, some phone calls that came in, as well as some SMS messages and chats that came in as well. So I can see, in case they're saying, hey, yesterday or last week when I talked to somebody, I can get to that transaction right here in that spot. Now, one of the things we can also do is use some of our productivity tools, such as our knowledge base, or our, I'm just going to search on some stuff here, and there's a commission adjustment. I can just add this. So notice this is adding this right to the chat. It goes right across. So Jim's able to see it, I can then search the knowledge base as well. If I need to get some information and I could, you know, view these things myself, yeah, that's the one I want to send, and then just click the link over and we'll pass that over in the chat process that's out there, right? Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to just jump and let's take another chat here a different way. Now, this is an example of we placed our widget inlay onto, imagine your intranet, and we're going to engage with the digital assistant here to do a variety of things, such as update my profile. And the digital assistant is going to look me up, and then from there determine what information to display, such as maybe here is your current information, but in this case it's asking, you know, what part of your profile do you want to update, and it's brought back some of that data that's there, and it's basically saying, hey, just put in your new address that you want to change to, 2815, let's East Lake Avenue, SFO, California, 94016, something like that. Okay, so moving from Texas to California, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, right? Before you do that, there are implications that, and let me make you aware of them. You write to the W-4 form so I can see that. And then, hey, it'll provide some great insight to what's out there. I might have another issue, such as, you know, like, why is my paycheck amount different this week from last 2 weeks? And we'll go off and perform a query, pull the data back from the analysis here, and then in a sense ask us more questions. Can you show me the breakup of these extra hours? In this case, it's something that the chatbot intents don't know how to handle, so they're off providing me some suggestions, and one of them is that you can go off and chat with an agent. And so in this case, it's transferring live chat to agent, some of our pre-built functionality with the digital assistant. And if I come back here to my agent, I can see I've got a second chat, and I can now jump into that, and now I've got back and forth. I can switch between the different chats by just simply going back and forth between them here. And we've provide some great insights here. As also so far there's one message here that I haven't responded to yet, for example, in Bradley's. As I see his data, if I go back to Antonio, the first person I was chatting with, you know, as you can see, I can switch back and forth in that process, right? I'm going to jump forward to a couple of the things here. So imagine that he took a phone call, and Antonio Santos is now calling in, or any other person, and perhaps he's here. One of the things I can do in a sense is we're seeing here as an example of using scripting to actually guide me through the process. So it could be, hey, this is a general type of HR issue. This is the basic information I want to get to, versus I can have a series of different scripts that guide me through to get to the appropriate look and feel to contextually help the problem for this particular individual. So in this case, it's more of a general information change, just providing some basic ways where I can reply back to them or look up some information and use the knowledge base or our smart assistants, or I can click on the more button here and I've got some more, you know, automatically unhide a lot of options. Or if I go back, maybe said, well, it's really a different type of issue. Okay, a life event issue, for example, in benefits. Now notice here, the look and feel of the screen is a little different. And this is by design to show the concept of, hey, since it's a life event, then I want to have benefits related, life event related, helper tools and, you know, information at my context. So notice we're seeing some buttons on the right here. So help me to do some escalation or get some, maybe it's a benefit event information I want to get to, or I can do some what we call quick close. Just they were just doing a quick little benefit inquiry, something like that, or go through this, you know, interactive guide of questioning, figure out what type of benefit event that's out there, right? So now I'm going to completely switch gears. Is one of the last things I want to show you is that this is an example of a supervisor or manager engaging with the application. So when they log in, they can have one or more dashboards that are really showing them the insight of what's going on. So imagine, if you will, the system's been in place for 4 weeks or so, you now have this great insight as to the case arrival patterns that we're seeing here across what channels at what time of the day. Here's the hourly activity patterns that are going. Here's the shift, regional report where I can slice and dice by any type of geographical segmentation or other environment here. Now, one reason I like this particular report, it's showing examples of we can get your attention down at the cell level. So we can do it at the row level, the column level, as you're seeing here, or even at an individual cell level to say something requires your attention or I want you to be aware of. By changing the color, we can change the font, we can put graphics in here or a combination of all the above to really say, this is where you need to be spending your time to see what's going on. Now we have rich analytics that'll tell you insight as to not only what the agents are doing as well as what the employees are searching on and how the knowledge is being utilized and how effective the interaction guides are being, but also how well your knowledge is missing or what might be some information gaps, and from there, what to do to fine tune and tweak it. There's a lot more to the solution. I think for the sake of time, we're almost out, and I'm going to throw it up back to the group for a little Q&A and back to Keegan to summarize it.
Thanks, Brian. This is great. Just open it up. For those of you that are on the Zoom, we can just unmute your line if you have any questions. Otherwise, Brian, maybe I'll take the screen share here. If you want to stop, and I'll just provide my information, contact info. You can certainly follow up with us, and we will be available to help with that. I think it's shared here. Any questions from the group? All right. Well, be respectful of everybody's time. You've got the contact information is on the screen. So if you would like to reach out and talk with us a bit more, like Brian said, there's a lot more to the solution. We went through a lot today. So if you have other questions, just please let us know. We're happy to walk through with you and educate you more about the capabilities that we showed you today. Thank you all for your time. Appreciate time out of your day, and hope you are all well, and be safe out there. Thanks, everybody.